Today, we review a new counting system for the kiddos as they learn their numbers. It's very easy. It's just count up to the points Virginia scores. It's very simple,
Real
Tyler.
small.
It is time to
Wake up, college basketball!
Welcome to Wake Up College Basketball, presented by 4 Points. Travel reinvented. The man showing off his deltoids, and triceps, and biceps. He's feeling good. He's got a signature move that's somebody else's signature move, but I'll take it.
I mean, it's mine now.
It's Tyler Tynes. My name is Dan Rubenstein, and life in the NCAA Tournament is sweet.
Sweet.
It's so sweet.
Sweet.
It's dulce. I like dulce. I'm never going to say that again. We're making things uncomfortable, and that's the point, because a lot of discomfort this weekend in the tournament. But listen, we have a number one seed go down, which you may or may not have.
I said what I said.
You told the people
I said what
this.
I said, America. I said it was going to happen. Y'all listen.
Start listening to Tyler.
Better start listening.
Did he like Chris Mack and Xavier?
Show did.
I believe he did.
Show did.
I believe he had that.
did.
So it's time to focus on Tyler Tynes. Okay, so we have a number one seed go down against Wisconsin, who is almost assuredly not an 8 seed. They're like a 5 seed.
I mean, a lot of complaints that came from Villanova's fan base this weekend were that they kind of got messed up, not only for the refereeing, but also because Wisconsin wasn't really an 8 seed because they were one of the best teams in the Big all year.
Yeah.
My retort for that would be maybe just beat who's in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because it's great. Like, if that's not an 8 seed, you want an easier matchup. Cool. Northwestern barely kind of worked Gonzaga. There were some other 1 seeds who almost went down. So it's like, that sounds great, but also just beat who's in front of you. If Villanova's supposed to repeat, they're supposed to be one of the best teams in the country. You still got to beat who's in front of you, and you just didn't.
Yep. Wisconsin, the most experienced, the seniors on this team, Bronson Koenig, Ethan Happ, all these guys, they've made deep runs into the tournament. So they are as scary an 8 seed as we've seen recently. But Villanova players won the national championship last year.
That's dope, but before that, I mean, kind of got a habit of getting kicked out in March real early. But hey, y'all know them stats.
Yep, round of 32. That's back to Villanova proper, I guess. Who's to say? But
shout out Radner.
It was an interesting weekend because we have Kansas dominance as a 1 seed. We have Gonzaga almost, and just kind of heartbreaking to watch Chris Collins freak out correctly. Get punished for the freak out, get punished for a goaltending that wasn't called. Kind of heartbreaking to watch, but Gonzaga probably should never have been in that position. The killer instinct was just sort of lost on the Zags. It was
also not heartbroken if you didn't want Northwestern to win. So.
That's true. It's very true. I did like Chris Collins, the sort of pettiness at the end, like, yes, the apology made it all better. Like, that was great. I do enjoy that. North Carolina pulls out a 12-0 run at the end of the game to take down Arkansas, a scrappy Arkansas team that was really in position to take that game and take another 1 seed down. Alonzo Ball looked great, not a surprise. But the thing that you took away from this, the large men, and we're going to get into that momentarily, but we come into the tournament thinking it's guard play. Yeah. Large men dominated this weekend. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you think about March and you think guards, you think Kemba Walker, you think Shabazz Napier, you think dominant guards, all the way through the guards that Michigan have had recently in Louisville and Kentucky, et cetera. Yeah. But this year, it's been big. It's been Lauri Markkanen, it's been Bam Adebayo, it's been Caleb Swanigan. Like, bigs for almost every major team have come through in a way that has been extraordinary. Yep.
So it's been kind of wild to see, but it's also been extremely fun to see. Even on that Michigan State team that got knocked out, Miles Bridges and Nick Ward played amazing basketball. So
absolutely.
The bigs have been doing it, man.
All right, before we get more into the large men of this tournament, I don't just the phrase large men, let's talk about ceilings. Let's talk about the team that you saw this weekend that you said, okay, I have a much better concept for the heights that they can go, thanks to what we saw in the round of 32.
We've been talking up Michigan for so much in this over this series for this March, and Michigan has just looked good. Derek Walton, Wagner. There's so many players in this Beeline offensive team that have been amazing. I mean, the assumption was their March has been great, on top of the fact that, their conference tournament was great, and they get into the tournament, they win a few games, it's like, all right, they're going to get knocked out by Louisville. Nah.
Nope.
They came all the way through and beat a really good Louisville team. So Michigan showed me a lot. They're a Sweet 16 team and a team that probably shouldn't have went this far.
Right.
Let's see if they keep having their hot March.
Physically and mentally tough. And they're going against an Oregon Ducks team that is good, but definitely flawed at this point. Almost going down to Rhode Island. Definitely beatable. And, Chris Boucher not being there has sort of changed the dynamic of that team. For me, the ceiling team is North Carolina. We saw what North Carolina looked like without Joel Berry and Justin Jackson performing to their capability. And it's scary that a team like Arkansas, who has a great offense, but is sort of an unbalanced team, sort of a tempo team, what they were almost able to do. So now that the North Carolina is so reliant on just hitting the offensive glass, that's the team they are, that scares me about North Carolina moving forward because they are in the region of death.
The only other team that showed a lot of potential, obviously, was South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina, Sindarius Thornwell himself, big boy, big body, and those big guards of South Carolina's team that plays some really scrappy defense, they shocked the world.
Yes.
They did what they had to do. So, I mean, with a Duke team that had 21 turnovers, I think, like South Carolina and a team that Frank Martin has recruited for the last 3 years to come to this level of dominance has finally showed up. Chris Silver, Peter Dozier, and then on top of that, Sindarius Thornwell, who has been a monster this
Felder off the bench, too, was great. Yeah.
Mackey, like, there's been some great guard play and some great bigs play for the South Carolina team. So they should also be a very scary team going forward.
What I really liked about their performance yesterday, Frank Martin never took the foot off the pedal. Every single time they broke a press, they were going hard. They were, taking every single basket they could, and they were making them. And so something like Gonzaga, something like other teams taking the foot off, it is disappointing. But to see what South Carolina was able to do, they put every ball in the basket, they pressed, they did a great job. Next up, we have Norm Roberts, assistant coach for the Kansas Jayhawks, perhaps the one seed that has acquitted themselves best thus far early in the tournament. So, Coach, how are you feeling early on after the first weekend?
We're feeling that our guys played pretty well, and we scored the ball well, and we've defended better, and that's a key. Playing in the NCAA tournament, you have to defend, and our guys have done a good job of that so far.
To what degree do you attribute the ability to pull away from teams to the fact that you start so many upperclassmen who seem to understand, sort of going for the jugular, that killer instinct?
Well, I think Coach talks about that all the time. We want to keep coming at people, keep putting pressure on people, both offensively and defensively. And when we can get out and transition and spread the floor, when you got players like Frank Mason and Devontae Graham and Josh Jackson, they can all make so many plays and they can all shoot and score the ball. It puts a lot of pressure on the other team.
Coach, your next round matchup, and correct me if I'm wrong, should be Purdue, right? What's the game plan if Lucas goes down with Caleb Swanigan there, a dominant big? What's the game plan for him as for backups in your front court to match up with somebody as physical as he is?
Well, the first game plan is that he better not go down. So we're not going to let him go down. But what Coach has done is he's done an excellent job at if Landon picks up an early foul or something like that, we get him out. And then we have some guys behind him that can do a good job for us. Carlton Bragg has been up and down, but he's had some good moments for us, and he's 6'10". And Dwight Colby is 6'9.5", about 250, and did a great job for us last game. And then we have another young kid named Mitchell Lightfoot, who's 6'8", about 215 pounds. So we've got some size in there that we can go to. And then we may have to just change up strategies. Now maybe we have to trap the post a little bit. Maybe we have to do some different things, maybe some full court pressure. We have to do some different things if Landon's not out there, because Landon is probably, in my estimation, the best post defender in the country. He can guard anybody one-on-one, and he does a great job of breaking down film and breaking down strategy of a different player. And so we can a lot of times allow him just to guard that inside guy, which allows us to pressure on the perimeter.
Coach, what do you know about the style of Purdue? Obviously, Caleb Swanigan gets a majority of the attention, but they're fundamentally sound. They play really good half-court basketball. Strategically, what do you have to do to sort of stay consistent against a team that's so well coached?
Well, they are well coached, and I've known Matt Painter for 15 years, and he's done a great job with the team. And, I think everybody kind of thinks that the Big Ten was down this year. It wasn't down. I think it was extremely competitive. That's what their league was this year, and obviously Matt and them won the league. And so they're a very good basketball team, and they're much more than just Swanigan. Swanigan's a terrific player. He can do a lot of different things, but it's those perimeter guys that can make shots. They can spread the floor. They bring Haas in the game, and he's ginormous inside, and he can score in there. So they've got a lot of different options that they can go to. And Edwards is terrific. The kid Carson Edwards is terrific coming off the bench. So they're a matchup problem, but what you have to do is you've got to guard on the perimeter. Cannot let them have open looks, and then you can't give angles in the post.
Is there any difficulty maintaining focus after you were so successful opening weekend, winning by a combined almost 60 points, whereas some other teams that were highly seeded did struggle and won late?
No, I don't think that is, because if you watched us play over the year, all our games have been tight. every game. We played in more than anybody in America. Coming from our league, going to winning at Kentucky, winning a close game at the buzzer against Duke, our battles against Baylor all year, coming back from 14 down with 2.5 minutes to go against West Virginia. So we've been in some unbelievable wars. So I don't see that at all. Our guys are taking one game at a time and just focusing on the next opponent.
How do you plan on stopping Caleb Swanigan? What's the game plan for Caleb?
Well, we haven't really sat down and talked about it, but we've got to show him different looks. Can't let him get comfortable. Obviously, you can't let him catch it deep in the post because then you're done. But then you also got to respect his ability to make a three. He can pick and pop and that stuff too. And then I think on the other end, we've got to attack him. If it's going to be a situation where they're going to play a big lineup, then that means that he's going to have to guard Josh Jackson. And if that's the case, then we've got to take advantage on our end with our speed and our athleticism in that situation away from the basket. So it's going to be a tale of two different teams. And a lot of times Kansas has always been the bigger team and the physical team and inside and that stuff. And now we're kind of the smaller team and quicker. And we've had to battle through these things all year, playing against Baylor, playing against West Virginia. They're extremely physical. They're extremely long. So we've had some experience with this. It's just a matter of doing it on that day.
Coach, thank you very much for your time and good luck this week.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, so let's get in now to the large men. So my theory is that because of the way basketball has evolved and everybody's sort of taken their cues from the NBA with like the stretch four and everything like that, we talked about Caleb Swanigan, who's actually my pick for the most impressive large man right now. It opens everything up, and that the most successful teams have those just scary dudes. Not necessarily that can hit three-pointers, but it makes everything, the spacing, so much better for the guards when you have those guys that can clean up, that hit the glass. And that's why I really feel like thus far, they're the difference maker. So who is that difference maker for you?
Difference maker for me is Bam Adebayo, young Bammy Bam from UK, because mostly for the way that UK runs that offense, right? So for an NBA Q, if we want to take it that way, he's like a DeAndre Jordan in that space, that he's not going to be a guy that's going to give you these great post-up moves. He will occasionally. However, Bam's going to pick and roll, and Bam's going to have a lot of alley-oop opportunities, clean up that glass, and he's a more physical and more dominant player than most of the big men we've seen him go against. If they run a small ball lineup, he's going to be the guy that sticks out when they run in transition, because Bam is going to run the floor with Malik Monk, as we've seen with so many alley-oop opportunities in the last few games. Outside of that, if you're going to run high pick and roll with De'Aaron Fox, he's going to roll, and then he's going to make a lane. So you've got two targets you got to go against, but you have to pay so much attention to Bam Adebayo.
He's the backbone of that team.
You only know that after you're getting burned by Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox.
Absolutely. And we saw out west the St. Mary's Arizona game decided by the front court. A lot of talent down low. That was the deciding factor. We saw Xavier really come to play against a bigger team and shut down the big dudes, and that completely transformed Florida State into a team that lost by like 25 points to Xavier without their best player, and Xavier getting that bench play from their bigs was a big difference maker. So absolutely, thus far, it has been a tournament of size. Let's transition from that. Let's go to offense. We have the top 5 offenses here, as you're going to see. UCLA, not surprisingly, at the top of that list, but which team to you that is a top 5 remaining offense in the tournament, it won't be enough for them moving forward given their opponent?
Who has the best offense, or is the offense not good enough?
The offense is not good enough.
The offense isn't good enough? I might have to take Michigan.
Okay.
I'm only taking Michigan for one reason. We've seen this run be so good, but now we're going to see Michigan against another different opponent.
Yeah.
And we have to understand, and we have to see if Derek Walton is going to be enough.
Right.
If he's going to be able to play hard enough that he has this Kemba Walker type of run. So I want to see Michigan under pressure and under fire. I want to see how their offense does against a really, really testy matchup in the next round.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kansas, and as much as I love Josh Jackson, as much as I love Frank Mason III, the Purdue matchup is not an ideal one because they're going to slow it down a little bit. They're so fundamentally sound defensively. They challenge everything. They rebound really well. They don't block a ton of shots, but the fact that they have that experience and they're coached to such a specific point, I really like that matchup for Purdue. I don't think they necessarily win, but I think it's going to be lower scoring. I don't think Kansas scoring 100.
I think Purdue slows them down a lot.
Yeah.
They're not going to have as many transition opportunities with Josh Jackson and with Frank Mason, Devontae Graham. So I think they get slowed down. I think you're going to get one of those big men in foul trouble early. And I think Frank Mason's not going to be able to play all 40 minutes at the pace he needs to play at. And that's going to really, really be great for Purdue.
Absolutely.
I'm saying they're going to lose.
Right.
I'm saying it's going to be a game.
Which defense do you feel like that is in the top 5 that we'll see on the screen here momentarily, has the biggest challenge and might let down the team as a whole?
I think it might be South Carolina. I want South
A
Carolina
really
to
good
win
defense,
a great defensive team. I want them to win. I want them to win badly,
You want them to be Baylor, yeah.
But I feel like that defense is not sustainable against some of these better teams. South Carolina's been good all year. They've been really strong body good, in a way that we've seen packed line defenses from Virginia, not in the same style, but just strength and conditioning-wise. These guys are built to play guard to forward positions in South Carolina.
Right.
So I want to see that defense get tested, but it's either going to be South Carolina or it's going to be Gonzaga, because you can't sell me on Gonzaga. You can't ever sell me on Gonzaga.
Yeah, the South Carolina thing is interesting because Baylor matches them with athleticism and length. It's going to be a hectic game, and it's going to be a physical game.
And it might be a high-scoring game, too.
It could be high scoring. It could be back and forth, but I think it's an interesting point because I think Baylor, either way, no matter who wins, is going to beat them up. I think it's going to take bruises to take down the Bears.
Yeah, they might look like Nelly when they get up out of the Band-Aid line.
This is fair. I'm going to go with Kentucky just because I watched Lonzo Ball play basketball last night. I watched TJ Leaf. I watched Thomas Welsh. I watched Bryce Alford. I watched a Holiday off the bench. UCLA is so talented on offense. 40 minutes, 3 turnovers, 21 assists, and they were down 3 at halftime. And then they strangely went into sort of cruise control. They hit about 40% of their threes. They've already beaten Kentucky in a relatively high-scoring affair. I just think the UCLA machine is something that we should have perhaps the most confidence in offensively, and that worries me defensively for Kentucky.
I mean, I would, but all my confidence is in young Lepanto, Arkansas, Malik Monk himself. Don't count them cats out, all right? You can't do that. I mean, I love UCLA basketball. I love Lonzo Ball to death. I love watching this kid play.
Yeah.
But I also love Malik Monk like he's my second son. Like, I love Malik Monk. He could be my brother, but he ain't. But I love Malik Monk, so I'm not about to bet against Malik Monk.
Can Kentucky win in a shootout, though, if that's what it goes to?
If you want to bet against Malik Monk not putting up 40 shots and doing what he want to do all day, go ahead. But I'll take Malik Monk.
Okay. And another matchup, by the way, the Wichita State-Kentucky game. That probably would have been better to see in like the Elite Eight or Sweet 16.
We don't. That's the second year in a row, and I think Ricky O'Donnell wrote about that again. Like, we don't deserve to see them in the round of 32.
No, absolutely not. But we should say, and what we can both say is that this, in the same way. Greg Marshall's wife, hope you got some coffee. Hope you got a good night's sleep after the excitement of your weekend.
Let Lynn cook. All right, she had a great weekend. Let Lynn. She ain't do nothing wrong.
No.
All right, let Lynn cook. I think young Molly Podolesny did the same exact. Let's let Lynn cook.
This is true.
We went alone. All right, let her cook.
I just want her to eat a hearty breakfast and make sure everything gets soaked up. That's all
She
I'm
has some
saying.
bread. She'll be all right.
She's got some bread. She'll be all right. And finally, we talked about Dream Sweet 16. It happened. I mean, it will happen in UCLA, Kentucky. Now, who is your dream Elite Eight?
I think it's UNC and UK. Again, do not count out the Cats. I want to see Kentucky go all the way to the championship.
Probably the highest talent level matchup.
I think the highest talent level matchup, and I just like fun basketball. Like, I'm not really trying to watch these slow, dragged out games. Like, I'll actually watch UNC, UK, and be like excited. Like, I want to see Justin Jackson go at Malik Monk. I want to see Malik Monk go at 5 dudes on a basketball team because he just is going to do whatever he wants. So that's my matchup, and that's what I want to see.
They've already combined for 200 points in a matchup this year. There's no reason to believe they won't do it again. So hard to argue against that pick. I'm going with Arizona Gonzaga just because I want to see the push and pull of that game because of the talented bigs. We saw Alonso Trier come out and actually play a pretty complete game. I know Lauri Markkanen gets a lot of the sort of attention, but Trier had a really nice game, hit the boards really hard, and was a difference maker against St. Mary's. And Gonzaga, 34-1. They're a really good team. You don't believe in them.
No.
I think at the very least we can have a fun game. I think we have an entertaining game out west of those two meet. You hope so.
I hope Arizona don't blow them boys out.
And this show, by the way, is nothing if not a show that we want to tap into emotions. We want to show our human side. And I know a lot of people are talking about all the conferences that are playing so well, the Pac-12. Oh, there's that music. The Big Ten, really nice showing. The SEC out of nowhere. But I think we were both raised correctly. You don't speak ill of the dead. And the ACC, man, they've had a rough go. They've had a rough go. And I think, Tyler, we should take some time to sort of honor the ACC and everything they brought to this tournament. And
so young! So young!
Before your time.
What we gonna do with our politician face? Grayson Allen. Damn, so young.
Man, no more. Yeah, Grayson Allen. We don't have.
We don't got no Dwayne Bacon.
No Dwayne Bacon. I mean, they missed all of the shots. And so selfless. They let, Xavier just sort of have their moments. Miami just going so slowly. Woo. It hurts. It hurts because Miami, you were so...
Young Quad Newton.
Virginia schools, Virginia, you missed shots that other people were going to make.
You didn't score 40 points, baby.
You didn't.
Oh, Lord.
You didn't score those 40 points. Notre Dame, you wore such old people uniforms. And I really feel like you were aware of your fate, and that self-awareness is something that should be admired in somebody.
And Dan, I know we talked about human nature a lot.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be the human I am if I didn't show my true human nature of being petty as hell.
Yeah.
Villanova, y'all done got out of here. I told y'all, don't bet on the Cats. Woo!
Sometimes you do need to dance on some graves. Sometimes you need to dance on some graves. You need to relieve yourself on some graves. And Philadelphia native, Tyler Tynes.
Which Villanova is not in the city. Y'all ain't in Philly. Keep it.
So not sad about that. Not sad about Villanova going down.
Show ain't.
And was it Josh Hart who just decided to dribble into 3 Badgers
Sure
as
did.
a play at the end of the game? So
I know y'all talking about, player of the year, you had to just, shoot his shot. Sure did and lost.
So I'm glad we all got to know the real Tyler Tynes on this episode of Wake Up College Basketball, presented by 4 Points, Travel Reinvented. And here's the good news. There will be more of the real Tyler Tynes right after the Sweet 16.
So petty.
Thick, husky, petty, everything you love in Mr. Tynes. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye, America. Bye, Nova.